Hey, welcome back to British Accent Podcast. Today's episode is a bit of a love letter to every English learner out there who's been too hard on themselves lately. If that's you, stay with us.
Yeah, if you've ever said things like, my English is terrible, or I should be fluent by now, or I'll never sound natural, this episode is for you. Because we're here to remind you that your progress deserves kindness, not criticism.
You know, Emily, I think we often forget just how far we've come because we're so focused on how far we still have to go. Especially with something like English, it's not just a skill, it's an identity shift.
Totally. You're not just learning new words. You're learning how to exist in another language. That's huge. That takes guts. And yet people beat themselves up because they forget one word or hesitate in a conversation.
It's wild, right? I mean, when a baby takes its first steps, no one says, well, you didn't run a marathon. We cheer. We celebrate. But when adults learn English and finally say a full sentence out loud, they say, my pronunciation was bad.
We don't give ourselves nearly enough credit. Every sentence you speak in English is something your past self would have been proud of. Even the messy ones. Especially the messy ones.
And those mistakes? They are not proof that you're failing. They are proof that you're trying. They show up because you're actually using the language instead of hiding from it.
Exactly. And kindness matters. The way you speak to yourself while learning shapes everything. If your inner voice is always yelling, not good enough, it becomes harder to keep going.
But if your inner voice says, hey, I tried today, and that's enough, suddenly this journey doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like growth. It feels like something you want to stick with.
So if you're listening to this thinking, but I'm not where I want to be yet, we get it. But we also want to gently remind you, just because you're not at the finish line doesn't mean your progress isn't worth celebrating.
You know, Emily, I met someone recently who said she avoided speaking English for years because every time she tried, someone corrected her. And not kindly, they'd laugh or roll their eyes.
That breaks my heart. Because one unkind moment like that can stick with you for years. And yet, one kind moment can change everything. Someone saying, I understood you perfectly, can light up your whole day.
That's why we keep saying, your environment matters, but your internal environment matters even more. The way you respond to yourself when you make a mistake is the real game changer.
Exactly. Like, imagine if you could treat yourself the way you'd treat a close friend who's learning. Would you say, you're so slow, or why are you still making mistakes? Of course not.
No way. You'd say, you're doing great, just keep going. And yet when it's us, we go straight to judgment.
And that judgment becomes a habit. You speak, you stumble, you criticize. Over and over. But what if the new habit was celebration instead?
Yeah. Like, you try a new word, celebrate. You understand a sentence in a movie, celebrate. You order coffee in English and survive, that's a win. That's growth.
And growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and invisible. It happens in small moments. Like the first time you don't translate in your head. Or when you notice you're not afraid to ask someone to repeat something.
Or when you correct yourself without panic. That moment of, wait, I think I said that wrong, oh well, here's the right way. That's not a mistake, that's confidence.
That's huge confidence. Because confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about not shutting down when you're imperfect.
Exactly. And honestly, perfection is overrated. Nobody speaks perfectly all the time. Not even native speakers. So why are learners chasing something that doesn't even exist?
Right? What if the real goal wasn't perfect English, but kind English? Where you give yourself space to grow, space to try, and space to actually enjoy the process.
Now that's the kind of journey people stay on. One where you can say, I'm proud of where I am today, even if I'm not done yet.
And I think one of the sneakiest things about language learning is that progress doesn't always feel like progress. Like, you might listen to a podcast and only catch a few words, but your brain is still working. It's still learning the rhythm, the flow.
Totally. Sometimes your brain is absorbing way more than you realize. Then one day, suddenly, you understand a whole sentence without even trying. And you're like, wait, when did that happen?
Yes. It's like when you've been working out, and you don't notice the muscle until you lift something heavy. That's how English works too, the strength shows up when you need it most.
And that's why we always say, don't measure your progress only by test scores or how many words you memorized. Measure it by how you feel when you speak. Are you more confident? Less afraid to try?
Are you laughing more when you make mistakes instead of hiding from them? Are you more patient with yourself? That's emotional progress, and it's just as valuable as academic progress.
It really is. Because at the end of the day, the reason most people give up isn't because they can't learn, it's because they don't feel safe to keep learning. They get stuck in shame or pressure.
Exactly. That's why celebrating even the tiniest win matters so much. It builds emotional safety. It tells your brain, hey, we're doing okay. We can keep going.
And, okay, is a perfectly good place to be. You don't have to be amazing every day. Some days are slow, some days are tough. But you showed up. You practiced. You stayed curious. That matters.
I love that, staying curious. Because when you're curious, you ask questions. You explore. You stop judging yourself and start enjoying the process. And when you enjoy it, you're way more likely to stick with it.
Yeah, curiosity opens doors. Perfectionism closes them. And you don't need to be perfect to make progress, you just need to keep the door open.
So, maybe today the only thing you do is repeat one English sentence out loud. Or maybe you listen to this podcast while washing the dishes. That counts. That's real progress.
And more than anything, you deserve to feel proud of that. You don't have to wait until you're fluent to celebrate. You can celebrate today, right now, because learning a new language is brave. And bravery should never go unnoticed.
You know what's interesting? A lot of learners don't realize that being kind to yourself doesn't mean you're lowering your standards. It actually means you're giving yourself the strength to keep aiming higher without burning out.
That's such a good point. Self-kindness isn't the same as giving up. It's what helps you not give up. It's what helps you come back the next day, even if yesterday felt tough.
Exactly. Like, think about it, when you fall off your routine for a few days, it's not kindness that says, you're lazy. That's judgment. Kindness says, it's okay. Let's start again today.
And that voice, that gentle inner voice, it's what keeps the journey going. Because it's not motivation that makes people consistent. It's how they talk to themselves when motivation disappears.
Yes. That voice inside, the one that says, you're still learning. Keep going. I'm proud of you, that's your most powerful teacher. Not YouTube, not grammar books, your own mindset.
And when that voice changes, the whole experience changes. Suddenly English doesn't feel like this enemy to defeat. It becomes a tool. A companion. Even something fun.
Totally. And fun is underrated in learning. We think everything has to be serious or intense to count. But if you're laughing while watching a sitcom in English, you're learning. If you're singing along to your favorite songs, you're practicing pronunciation.
And if you're talking to yourself in the mirror while brushing your teeth, just to hear your own English voice, that's brave. That's real. And it deserves celebration.
You know, I once had a student who made a win jar. Every time she noticed a small English victory, like understanding a podcast, or finally using a phrasal verb correctly, she'd write it on a sticky note and put it in the jar.
I love that idea. And when she was feeling discouraged, she could open that jar and see her progress in bright colors. Sometimes we just need a visual reminder that we're moving forward, even if it doesn't always feel like it.
Yes, and it's proof that progress isn't invisible if we actually stop and honor it. That's what this whole episode is about, not waiting for a certificate or a test score to tell you you're doing well.
It's about you telling yourself, I'm doing well. It's about making space to notice the moments that used to feel impossible but are now part of your everyday life.
Like ordering food in English without panicking. Or understanding a joke in a movie. Or joining a Zoom call without muting yourself the whole time. These aren't small. They are milestones.
Milestones that only you can measure, and only you can truly appreciate. No one else knows how much courage it took to speak your first sentence, or to try again after a bad day. But you know. And that matters.
So, if there's one thing we hope you take away from today's episode, it's this. You don't need anyone's permission to feel proud of your progress.
Absolutely. Wherever you are on your English journey, whether you've just started or you're years in, you deserve to pause and say, look how far I've come.
And even on the days when progress feels invisible, trust that it's happening. Trust that showing up is enough. Trying again is enough. You are enough.
Keep celebrating the little things. The firsts. The small victories. The moments no one sees, but you feel. Those are the ones that make all the difference.
We're so proud of you for being here, for choosing to keep learning, and for giving yourself the kindness you deserve.
Thanks for joining us on the British Accent Podcast. We'll be back soon with more stories, tips, and encouragement to help you grow, not just in English, but in confidence too.
Until next time, take care of your words, take care of your mindset, and most importantly, take care of yourself.
See you soon.